Chapter 3. Being a defense lawyer is an ongoing education in human nature, a rare invitation into private, hidden lives, where client explanations justify or deny the evidence, exposing cause and effect. It's enlightening to witness firsthand character, emotions, and truth being tested. The profession allows you inside normally invisible worlds to see the methods of investigators, the motivations of those charging crimes, the justifications those judging rely on, and the fates these combined have on clients and their families. Practicing criminal defense is a misunderstood responsibility, a privilege that should be restricted for the same reasons you don't give a 5-year-old a loaded gun. Its power is its commanding ability to change lives forever. My clients are just people affected by upbringing, finances, miseducation, bad luck, physical or mental illness, addictive behavior, or so many other common factors affecting stability and choices that could happen to any of us. After taxiing to my hangar at the Visalia airport, Gary kept the engines running. I unbuckled and shook his hand. "Thanks, Gary. Amazing flight." "Any time, Jack. Nice aileron roll." Moving mid-cabin, I opened the pressure door, lifted the top, and dropped the steps. Brenda stood, coffee in hand, by her office door, watching and smiling. I hopped out, lifted the steps, latched the top, then thumped the plane's side to notify Gary that all was secure. The engines spooled up, whining as the thin, sleek jet rolled away. "How was it?" Brenda asked. "Beautiful flight. You would have loved it. The mountains were spectacular around Mount Whitney. I did some aerobatics." "Next time," she responded. "How are you? I thought you had the chalet another night." "I did. It took a lot to drag me away," I replied. "He said, 'murder,' and I said, 'You're killing me.'" Brenda chuckled as we entered her ground-floor office to prepare for the meeting. "Retainer, receipt, blank legal pad, fresh pen, everything is ready," she said, pointing to the new red folder on her desk. A good assistant is invaluable in a successful law practice. Phone calls, mail, billing, banking, delivering and picking up, getting signatures or supplies. There are a lot of tasks that are speed bumps, breaking momentum and concentration. Most lawyers make the mistake of paying assistants a little more than minimum wage, treating them as mere help. Mine get a good salary with significant benefits, tuition for school, flight lessons, and a great annual trip or two to reinvigorate and keep them sharp. In the past, when I was between assistants, I'd try a few months on my own, relearning their importance. During one of those solo periods 9 years ago, I was wandering downtown and decided to check out the new Visalia Brewing Company. Its crowded, narrow interior was filled with mostly 20-somethings. Looking down the long row of tables, I saw an hourglass silhouette. Her thin waist was set between an ample chest and curvy hips gracefully balanced between long legs and a bobbed hairdo. I walked over and introduced myself to that lovely, latte-skinned woman. "I'm Brenda," she said, stirring a vodka tonic as "Hang On Little Tomato" by Pink Martini played in the background. Something about her excited me, maybe chemistry or her sculptural beauty. We talked for a few minutes. I couldn't stop noticing how sparkly and animated she was. When I asked what she did, I was preparing to ask her to go elsewhere. "I'm looking for a job," she replied. My intended, "Let's go get some dinner," came out as, "How would you like to work with me?" "Doing what?" she asked coyly. "I'm looking for a personal assistant," I laughed, catching up to myself. "I am," I reassured us both. "My last assistant left for college in San Francisco. I need someone to help in the office and for personal errands." We started working together 2 days later. How asking her out went to offering a job, I don't know. It remains my favorite chance meeting. Brenda is the best companion I've ever known. Bright, reliable, charismatic, and resourceful, she is a constant joy to be around. She has mystic female powers over men. Together, we've helped thousands of people so far. Precisely at 3 p.m., Brenda and I entered the aviation business terminal. I said hello to Mario and Mike, the fuel desk attendants. They returned my greeting, never taking their eyes off Brenda. In the lobby was a lanky Mexican man with slicked, medium-length black hair. He was wearing jeans, a patterned shirt, and a black leather jacket. His stance was relaxed and lazy. Next to him was a dark-haired young white woman in a thick navy wool coat and fresh makeup. She had large dark eyes. One front tooth was slightly shorter than the other. For her size, she had enormous hips. "Victor?" I asked. "Mr. Shield? This is Brenda. She'll be helping with the case." "Oh, okay, what's up, Brenda?" Victor reached out to shake Brenda's hand. "And you are?" I asked the young woman. "I'm Chantel. I'm Victor's." She trailed off, wide-eyed. They followed me down the hall to the spacious conference room at the back of the terminal. The airport maintains it for pilots and airport business meetings. Mostly, it sits vacant. So I adopted it and used its copier, fresh coffee, ice, refrigerator and vending machines as if they were mine. Clients never see my offices in the 2-story hangar at the back of the airport. Because of the nature of my business, that's Brenda's and my private command center, secured by coded airport gates and video surveillance. Where I work outside of court doesn't matter to the people who hire me. People in distress are willing to meet anywhere they can talk privately, so long as they can explain their problems, hear my thoughts, and hire me. During busy weeks, cafes with lunch booths are often the best meeting places. "Can we get you anything?" I asked, waving them to chairs on the other side of the large conference table as Brenda set up our file and notepads. "No, thank you," Victor replied as he and Chantel sat. "Chantel?" I asked. "No, thank you, Jack Shield." I put off her use of my full name to nervousness. When people come to see me, it's not because their lives are in order. As I sat down, I noticed Brenda was giving me a look. Without stopping to inquire, I took control of the moment. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Jack Shield. I'm a private defense lawyer, a hired gun. I've been practicing for 18 years. I don't do appointed work for the courts like a lot of attorneys around here. I only work for my clients. I've handled almost every case in the penal code, from disturbing the peace to the death penalty." "We heard you were the best," Chantel injected. "That's high praise, Chantel, thank you. I do love my work. Victor, I'm sorry to hear about your family troubles. The court's online calendar shows Caesar has an arraignment tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. in Department 12. That's Judge Couillard's court. He's a good judge. Do you know what an arraignment is?" "Where he gets charges," answered Victor. "Something like that. Tomorrow all we will do is get a copy of the complaint, enter a not guilty plea and set a date to come back. It will be fast. Caesar will only be in the courtroom a few minutes. Will you be there?" "Yes." "Okay, we'll go over the different court appearances in a murder case later. I know this is a difficult time for you and Caesar. That's why I cancelled my plans and flew here to meet. The court process isn't fast. It isn't going to be fun. We could easily be here next year still talking about what might happen, but that's why people hire me, to get them through this. Before we go any further, please tell me what you know. What's happening? How is your brother?" Victor leaned forward in his chair, balancing both hands on the table, looking down. Well, he glanced at Chantel. "It's not real good. See, my brother, Caesar, he's not normal." Chantel put her hand on Victor's forearm. Relaxing, he sat back. "Sorry, I'm like real nervous." "That's okay, Victor. Take your time. Everything we discuss is between us. Help me understand what's happened so far." "Thank you, Mr. Shield. Well, see, I was in Mexico with my parents for Christmas. We're from there, and we still have family there. So, Caesar stayed here with Victoria because it's hard for him to go back and forth." "Caesar doesn't have a visa?" "No, he doesn't have no papers. But Victoria's from here. They live in it's a shed behind my parents. My dad made it into a place for them. Anyway, I got a call saying Caesar's in the hospital. They found him in the alley behind my parents on Christmas Eve. Victoria's missing. Caesar was all messed up. He had a concussion and broken ribs and stuff. It was bad. So I came back. My parents stayed because they didn't know what happened. I told them I would take care of it. Anyway, I go to the hospital to see him. And when I get there, he's in bed, but he's all right. He's getting better. So that's when he tells me, well, first I ask him, what happened? Where's Victoria? 'Cause her parents are real upset about where is she. Were they there? No, It was just me and him. But they were telling me things when I got back. Were they the ones who called you in Mexico? Yes. Go on. So I was asking Caesar because she wasn't around. And he says he don't know. She's at work. She went to the store, things like that. But then he tells me to come close, you know. He says he needs to tell me something. So I go up. And then he whispers to me. Real soft. He says, she's in the backyard. Victor looked up to see my reaction. I just kept listening. It freaked me out because I was kinda high at the time, you know. I didn't know what to do, and then I called the police. I glanced at Chantal to see her reaction. She stared back at me. You were high? I asked Victor. Yeah, I smoke. You know, marijuana. Were you on anything else? No, I only smoke. I took a deep breath. Okay. Did your brother tell you what happened? If he killed Victoria, what actual words did he use? Well, all he said was, she was in the ground. Did he say he killed her? He wouldn't answer. I asked him what happened, and he just said she was in the ground. That's all he would say. Did you speak to anyone else? No. I went outside and called 911. You called the police? Yeah. You didn't call Chantal first? Yes, you did, Chantal interrupted. Oh yeah, I did call her. Yes, he called me, Chantal reiterated, looking wide-eyed at me. Yeah, I told her, and we talked about what to do. Okay, I asked you if you talked to anyone. You said no. But you did talk to Chantal, and you called the police. Did you talk to anyone else? Sorry. No, just the police. I'm real nervous. That's all right. It would have been a strange day, I reassured him. Yeah, Victor said, shaking his head and shifting around to release some tension. What did you and Chantal say to each other? Just what Caesar told me and what to do. That I needed to call the police. Is that how you remember it, Chantal? Pretty much. He told me Caesar had buried Victoria in the parents' backyard, and I told him he needed to call the police. I've got to admit, Mr. Shield, I was freaked out. I'm sure, did you or Chantal go to your parents' house before you called the police? No, I called from the hospital. Did you go to the house, Chantal? No. What did you tell the police, Victor? I told them Victoria was missing, and Caesar said she was, in my parents' backyard. 'Cause I was I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I've never been in something like this. Did you tell them Caesar had killed Victoria? I don't remember. No problem. I'm sure it was a shocking night. Why didn't you go to the house to see if Caesar was telling the truth? I didn't want to see no dead body. That's understandable. Does Caesar know who beat him up? No. You asked him? Yes. Do you know if Caesar told anyone else about Victoria? I'm pretty sure he just told me. How do you know that? 'Cause he said it was a secret he needed to tell me. He trusts me. Did the police come to the hospital or go to your parents first? They came to the hospital. Were you present when the police talked to your brother? No, they took me to another room. What happened there? I told the officer, that Caesar said she was in the backyard, and that's when they went over, and had dogs and stuff. They found her. Where? In the ground, by the porch, right by the porch. Were you with the officers when she was found? No, I just let them in. What did you see? They had a lot of people, and they put up tape everywhere to keep people out. Where were you? I stayed in the front yard. That's a tough night. I'm sorry to hear about the death of your sister-in-law. Were you too close? Not really. We didn't really talk. Were Caesar and Victoria legally married? He nodded. Not legal, but it was a Mexican marriage. They'd been together for a couple years, but like I said, there weren't no papers or anything. They just had a little party, and they were together. Victor's eyes began to swell with emotion, so I pivoted the conversation. You started out saying your brother was not normal. What did you mean? Victor shifted his weight, sitting up. He has this, little man on his shoulder that talks to him, you know. Like this little man who tells him things. Is he schizophrenic? Maybe. I'm not real sure what that is. What kind of things does the little man tell him? All kinds of stuff, like, what's behind the tree? What's Dad going to say? Things like that. How long has this been going on? Since we were kids. My mom had a priest in Mexico do ceremonies on him to get evil spirits out. He had an exorcism? Yeah. How long ago was that? Maybe 5 years. Did it work? For a while, maybe. I don't know. Do you believe your brother is possessed? By demons? No. Do you believe in demons? People say, but I don't believe it. But your parents do. My mom? She's like real religious, you know. Does Caesar believe he is possessed? By a demon? No, he just says the little man tells him things. Has your brother ever been evaluated about his mental health? He went to the clinic in Enventa. That's the town near Acapulco where we're from. They gave him some pills. It was a while ago, like maybe 4 years ago. He's been here about 3 years. Does he see a doctor here? No. Does he take any medication? Victor smirked, then caught himself. No. Why do you laugh? Well, he takes drugs, but not like from a doctor. What kind? Marijuana? Meth? He smokes, and sometimes meth. Anything else? He did heroin for a while, but he stopped. How do you know that? Well, like my dad told him, and then I told him, so he did it. Did he get any treatment or counseling for recovery? No, he just stopped, said it wasn't a big deal. That'd be unusual. Heroin's a hard drug. Yeah, but he did it. I told him. Okay. There'll be a toxicology from the hospital. It'll show anything in his system. Look, I don't know Caesar's condition, but it sounds like you're describing schizophrenia. I've had a few cases with clients who had schizophrenia. It's a very disorienting mental illness. Unmedicated, they often have a hard time differentiating whether stimulation, sounds, thoughts or voices are from inside or outside of their bodies. For example, you might think, I'm hungry. You know you're thinking that, but a person with schizophrenia might think, I'm hungry, and believe the sound is coming from outside of them, like from a radio, or the dog, or a little man on Caesar's shoulder. Crazy, Chantal whispered as she considered what I was saying. Oh, sorry, she said, catching herself. That's a description often used. Tragic is another. It can be like they're experiencing a dream while awake. They don't know the difference. It makes it extremely hard for them to operate in the real world, sometimes in their own skin. Schizophrenia is not curable. It's only treatable, and the treatments don't make them feel good. Thorazine, Haldol, and drugs like that have been used to numb them down and reduce responsiveness. It's not an exact science. A lot of people with schizophrenia refuse to take the medications because they don't feel better. Sometimes they feel a lot worse, strange, dopey, as their bodies and consciousness adjust to the drug's effects. Often they self-medicate with other drugs to dampen down their discomfort. Clearly, Caesar will need a psychiatric evaluation. I can get the court to pay for a psychiatrist for the case if Caesar doesn't have any money or property. He doesn't have nothing, said Victor. Okay, we'll talk more about that after I get more information. One important thing is you know that if you hire me, Caesar is my client, not you or his parents. I owe him a duty of confidentiality. I'll make sure he understands that. I won't be able to talk to you about what he and I discuss unless he gives me permission. Do you understand? Yes, said Victor. Okay, we'll talk a lot more later, but I think it'd be most productive for me to get the reports and see what the prosecution thinks they know. Then we can go over that, and you can fill me in on the rest of the details. Sensing the cue, Brenda slid a copy of the retainer agreement toward me. Let me go over the terms of the retainer with you. After reviewing my 3-page retainer, Victor signed it and produced a paper bag with 2 bundles of 100s. No one commented that the currency reeked of marijuana. I handed the stacks to Brenda, who began to count them with the familiarity of a casino dealer. I won't visit Caesar tonight. I'll see him tomorrow before court at 8 and give him all the time he needs before the case is called. Do you have any other questions? Victor and Chantal looked at each other and then back at me. No, answered Victor. Oh, my parents want to talk to you when they get back, but I think that's all. We just wanted to hire you. Do your parents know you're hiring me? Yes. Will they be at court tomorrow? Victor and Chantel nodded. Do they speak English? My father does, but my mother doesn't speak much. She's pretty traditional. Chantel slightly rolled her eyes. I perceived a rift between the mother and the girlfriend. 10,000, Brenda said as she tapped the stacks into one tight bundle, snapping it together with a rubber band. She made out a receipt for Victor. Okay. Caesar could object to me being his lawyer, but I'd be surprised. Most people are glad to see me. Does he know what's going on? I only ask because you've mentioned mental illness. Oh yeah, no, he's okay, but he doesn't talk much. Does he know you're hiring me? I told him at the hospital I was going to get him a good lawyer. Okay, I'm on it, but one more thing. Actually, two. First, are you speaking to him on the phone? I'm guessing you are. You wouldn't get a contact visit yet. Yeah. Okay, this is important. Calls in the jail are all recorded. When you two are talking, whether it's on your phone or the ones at visiting, it's being recorded, and guards can listen in. You cannot discuss this case. Not what's happening, what I tell you. When's court? Nothing about this case on the phone. Do you understand? Victor and Chantel both answered, yes. Are you also talking to Caesar, Chantel? She sat back in her chair quickly. No. Okay, Victor, if he starts talking about the case, tell him to stop. Tell him his lawyer forbids it. If he doesn't stop, hang up. It's that simple. Got it? No discussing this case on recorded phones. Got it, Mr. Shield. Chantel looked at Victor and nudged him. Have you been speaking to Caesar on the phone about the case? I asked. No, just about his stuff. Okay, what's done is done. But from now on, nothing more than, how are you? Do you need money on your books? Things like that. If you talk about the case, you'll make my job difficult or impossible. I understand, said Victor. Okay, the second thing is you are a potential witness. I don't want to testify. Relax, we aren't there yet. But it sounds like Caesar confessed some things to you. Do you have an appointment to meet with anyone from law enforcement? No, but one guy gave me a paper with his number. Who? I don't know his name. I left it at home. Okay. I want you to call Brenda and give her the information they gave you. This is my number, Brenda added, pushing her card across the table to them. I'd like to know if anyone contacts you about the case, I added. Okay. And I shouldn't talk to them, right? I'm not saying that. That's dissuading a witness. But I wish you wouldn't. You're not required to speak to police. You can tell them to fuck off if you want. It might make them suspicious. They'll try to bait you into talking. But you can say I have nothing to discuss, hang up or close the door. They're trying to put your brother in prison for the rest of his life. Do you want to help them? No. Okay. Talking to them is only helping them. I just want to know if they contact you, okay? Okay, Mr. Shield. All right. Do either of you have any other questions? Concerns? You answered pretty much everything, said Victor. We all stood. I reached out to shake Victor's hand and held it firmly. Victor, I can't promise you any particular outcome. I can't predict the future, but I'll do my best to help your brother. Thank you, Mr. Shield. I nodded, releasing his hand. Now listen, the toughest part of any case is not knowing what will happen. It can drive you nuts. So, for that reason, I answer all my own calls. My phone is on 24/7. You can call me at any time, even midnight if you have a serious concern. But, and this is important, don't abuse it, okay? I smiled. There will be times when you've got something that is really bugging you, and you need an answer. Call me. That's what I'm here for. Brenda will call you from time to time about dates and things we need. You're welcome to call her to be reminded of simple things like court dates or anything we've asked you for. You don't need to call her to ask me to call you. She's my assistant, not yours. Brenda and Chantel laughed. Call me yourself. If you get my answering message, that means I'm busy. So, leave a message and always leave your number. I don't memorize phone numbers or always get messages from a phone with caller ID. I return my calls the same day. Victor thanked me again. Chantel leaned over the table and shook my hand. "Thank you, Mr. Shield. We really wanted you." "That's very kind, Chantel. Thank you for letting me help." Brenda walked them out of the front as I headed out the back to put the cash in the office safe. "That was strange," Brenda said, returning to the office. "Yeah, unusual family. I wonder what the mother and father are like. I'm going to need you for interpreting." She nodded. "His girlfriend likes you. She couldn't stop staring. I think she was freaked out wondering if she had babies with Victor, would they turn out like Caesar? No, she capital L likes you. I know that look." "You mean the way you look at me, Brenda?" She slapped me with the file. "That's just what we need," I said, heading out of her door to mine. "More intrigue." She laughed again, dialing the court's criminal division to let Department 12 know I was coming in on Caesar's case tomorrow. Department 12 was my favorite court. Ron Couillard was a humanist, a common-sense judge. No bullshit, just to the facts and a fair resolution. He didn't favor personalities or egos. He talked baseball during the season and was thoughtful and attentive. He is my favorite judge. Upstairs I set the file by my calendar, gazing out at the runway. A red and white Husky taxied by on oversized 31-inch Tundra tires, making it look like a cartoon plane. Those tires were the ticket to land on riverbeds or mountaintops. It was Greg Todd's plane. Greg brokered at Morgan Stanley. He'd helped me make some serious money on Sirius stock in 2008. I'd given him those tires as a thank you. Brenda came in, purse over her shoulder. "I'm headed out to get the mail and pick up the dry cleaning. You need anything?" "Thanks, Brenda. No, I'm done." "It's good to have you back, Jack. It's a new year. Anything's possible. See you tomorrow." She smiled, then twirled around, disappearing out the doorway. I followed her to the indoor balcony, watching her leave. On the opposite side of the hangar, my RV-4 experimental airplane N247KB sat striped in the orange evening light, poised like a tiger waiting. I changed out of my suit into a different kind of work clothes, jeans, tennis shoes, and a sweatshirt, the uniform of aircraft builders.